I missed one, 9/11. I couldn't get back into the city at all. That's the only one I missed. Okay. And eventually that pressure will just stay. But I'd like to know about that before you do your little squat thing. Women come to me all the time that have had births in a traditional OBGYN setting, and it is a totally different experience, and they spread the word. But unfortunately, it's just not enough to turn this around for us.
You go in. We're going to 28th and 8th, please.
Can I tell you something? It is so hard to find this birth stuff.
Really?
Oh, God. Like,
Is the researcher still doing stuff or no?
Yeah. That was like the Twilight Sleep cribs.
Cómete a dona, cómete el pato, Gabriel.
And look at what they did to them. It was like a straitjacket.
Oh.
Look at that. They like blindfolded them.
What year is this?
This is in the 20s.
The drug scopolamine was invented in Germany in the early 1900s, and American women found out about it. Remember that at that time, women were still being told that the pain of childbirth was the curse of Eve, and that it was because of Eve's sin in the Garden of Eden that women had to suffer during childbirth. So you can imagine how the modern liberated feminist attitude at the time would be, I certainly do not have to suffer. And if there are drugs around that keep me from having to suffer, then I'm going to go find those drugs because I'm a modern woman. Women thought that it took away pain during childbirth, but it doesn't. It actually just takes away your memory of the experience. So scopolamine spread rapidly across the United States, and by the 1960s, almost everyone was having twilight sleep. Now, it does take away memory, but it also takes away self-control. It takes away self-awareness. So women screamed and tried to climb the walls and spit in people's faces and tried to claw the face of the doctor or the nurse. So the hospitals developed the technique of strapping women to the hospital bed with lamb's wool, because if you used anything else, it would leave marks on their wrists, and then their husbands would want to know what was done to them. And so women were literally strapped to beds and left there for days, and sometimes in their own poop and pee. It was a very brutal period in American birthing history.
If you look at obstetrics for the last 50 years, what do you find? In the 1930s, they were giving x-rays on every pregnant woman to measure her pelvis. And then in the 1940s, they discovered that that caused the baby to have cancer. So they had to stop it. And then in the 1950s and 60s, they had another drug called thalidomide, which caused babies to be born without arms and legs. And then they had to stop that. But you see, in every case, it was after the fact. In the 1990s, they were giving Cytotec to induce labor in women who had had a previous cesarean. And they ended up with hundreds and hundreds of ruptured uteruses and many, many, many dead babies before they found out, finally, in 1999, that they shouldn't do that. But you see, there's not a good history in obstetric practice of careful study of the long-term effects of all these interventions. This is why, if you really want a humanized birth, the best thing to